when you're doing environmental journalism, you've always got the natural resource in mind, whether it's a stream or an endangered species, whatever it might be. If you think back to when Christian, the economist, was up here, he was talking about how a lot of natural resources, it's hard for economists to place value on them. And that's something that I think we're struggling with as a society, is figuring out ways to bring market forces to bear on some of these environmental problems, and not just treating the sky as something we can continue dumping gaseous waste into indefinitely. And so I think that right now environmental journalists are kind of leading that charge in trying to explain what the value is of these resources, while our economy tries to figure out how to do that in a dollars and cents term. So one thing that I tend to do when I'm researching a story is I always look at maps. I try to look at topographic maps and satellite maps. If I hear a story about some, it happened on some creek, I want to know, where is that creek? Is this forested? Is this undeveloped land? What river does it drain into? If you're reporting about creatures, try to learn what you can about this particular bird or this particular mussel. Where does it live, and what role does it have in the ecosystem? And I think that can help you really. It can give you the anecdotes and the information that helps bring the story, really bring it home and make it important to the reader, because you can relate to nice, concrete, physical things. I guess when you're doing environmental journalism, you're at the crux of several intersecting influences. In a lot of ways, it's science reporting, and you need to have a good background in mathematics and in chemistry, ecology, enough to go to the right experts and ask the right questions. But there's also major economic influences, and you need to be aware of, who's making money, who's maybe making money, who's got an incentive to lie to you or distract you. And so you've got to balance a lot of things. And Don Barger was talking earlier about the thresholds in our air quality standards, where they arbitrarily say, okay, at 75 parts per million, that's when some new regulatory regime is going to kick in. But it's not. You don't have those nice discrete lines, and when you do, they're arbitrary and artificial. And you're really dealing with the whole continuum. And to look at something like this TVA ash spill, TVA knew there was a risk of failure here, but it's a small risk. And when the cost of mitigating that risk is several $1 million, that's a big expense. And it's easy to just kind of say, well, let's put that off till next year. Well, you keep waiting, and then boom, suddenly you hit the lottery, and instead of $2 million to prevent it from ever happening, you're looking at $1 billion to repair what did happen. There's all sorts of costs from having polluted air that aren't part of that business equation right now, and we need to get them into the equations so that the clean air and clean water has value other than just sentimental value.